Thank you for staying with us on today's Tech Show. And we are now on the Tech Talk segment of the show. Now, we are focusing on artificial intelligence, one of the most powerful forces shaping economies and redefining how we live and work, from automating businesses to transforming healthcare, finance, and education. AI is fast becoming a critical driver of global competitiveness. But the big question is, where does Africa stand in all of this? Are we building our own AI systems powered by local data and talent? Or are we simply relying on technologies developed elsewhere? And bringing it home to Nigeria, do we have the infrastructure, the policy direction, and the investments needed to compete in the global AI race? Today, we explore whether Africa and Nigeria in particular can move from being consumer of AI to creators of solutions that truly reflect our realities. Our guest is a technologist and digital infrastructure expert with deep experience in connectivity and emerging technologies across Africa. I'm joined in the studio by Choi, who is joining me virtually. Thank you for joining me again. It's wonderful to have you on the show today.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me. And I'm joining from Lagos.
Thank you so much. Now, let's go straight to the topic to discuss. Now, when we say AI ecosystem, what does that practically look like for Africa?
Well, if I were to give you the consultant's response, I would say that's the talent, the infrastructure, the data centers, the GPU, the companies, policies, and all that. But the question that really needs to be asked is, why do we need an ecosystem? It's all new, right? And if we want to do something in AI, do we wait for it to come to us, or do we just do it ourselves? Because the cost of doing anything with AI right now, using the tools available, is so low that anyone can just do it by themselves. They don't need to be part of an ecosystem. So I would want that question to be looked at, which is, why do we need an ecosystem when we can do it ourselves?
Interesting, Jen. Interesting. Now, right now, would you say Africa and Nigeria specifically are consumers? Are they consumers or creators in the AI space?
Well, I think we have to think of it like AI is a tool. It's like a calculator. I remember when we were in school, we had to do math longhand, and calculators were looked at. Oh, you're cheating. You're. But now you can't do any type of business or anything without a calculator. In fact, you can't even do it without Excel. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with being a consumer of AI. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like, if you like having pounded yam, do you have to be, and you're a consumer of pounded yam, do you have to be a yam farmer to make a contribution? No. As long as you're consuming it and you're using it to do something good, that is a big step in itself. Okay.
Interesting, yeah. Interesting. Now, what are the biggest barriers stopping Nigeria from building a strong AI ecosystem? Because a lot of people have been curious about this for some time. What do you think they are?
I listened to the past podcast that you just had just now about infrastructure and the fiber cuts. Those issues are real. I mean, I've been in Nigeria running a telecom business for over 20 years. And we like to blame road construction and all those government policies, but operators also need to take some blame as well for not building out the infrastructure in a way that is secured, that it cannot get cut. If I laid out fiber optic in the middle of the road, some car's going to drive over it, right? So there's planning involved. And so infrastructure itself is a big concern. If you do not have internet access, it becomes very difficult to access AI resources. It's not to say it's impossible. You still can. You can run AI engines on your own server or on your own computer without even an internet connection. So that is it. Second is power, right? We need stable power. A lot of us, we've put in solar systems, inverters to now run our computers and make that work. So a lot of those infrastructure gaps can be solved in their own way as an individual. And that's what I want to stress.
How important is data? And do you think Nigeria have the right kind of data to power effective AI systems?
I'm going to be very blunt. I think when people ask that question, they haven't used AI yet. They haven't used it yet. So, 90% of the things that we need to do in Nigeria with AI, we can do it without the Nigerian data. Obviously, let's solve 90% of the problems first. Once we do that, there's going to be that 10% of the problems that we need to solve using very, very specific data that is trained on the nuances of Nigeria. But generally speaking, a lot of problems that we need solved using AI depend on global data. So that's my view on that.
But are we becoming too dependent on foreign AI tools and platforms? And do you think, or what sort of risk do you think that poses for a country like Nigeria?
There was a recent military action in Middle East and Iran in the Middle East, and they bombed data centers in the UAE, around the surrounding area. A lot of companies had data on them, okay, and they lost access to their data. A foreign government, if you host your data in the UK and UK now fights with Nigeria, they can cut access to that data because Nigerian laws do not extend over there. So the same thing can happen with AI. If we're using an AI engine like ChatGPT or Gemini, they could theoretically block access to Nigeria. I mean, we had a time when we were blocked from using Twitter or X. Okay, it can happen. So there is a definite risk. But the difference is this: all those softwares, those LLMs, large language models that are being used abroad, they can be run in Nigeria. So if you have your LLM running in Nigeria, you're completely protected. Okay. In terms of capability, they're almost exactly the same. So we can do it here. It's just a matter of, do you have the computer that can run it? Is it large enough to do the large model that you need that's needed? So I don't think we're too dependent. In fact, a lot of people are using AI to make software these days. I use a lot of what they call SaaS services. You pay every month, like $10K or $5 a month to use the software online. I've eliminated over half of the softwares I use because I used AI to make the software so I can do it myself. So AI is now making software that uses AI. And so are we being dependent? Yes, today, but maybe not next year, because we will start developing those softwares to use in-house within the country.
Interesting, Chen. Interesting, Yan. Now, how does Nigeria's internet infrastructure affect its ability to develop and deploy AI solutions?
Internet is key. Like, this question is like asking, how does Nigeria's electricity infrastructure or how does the roads affect the development of anything, right? Energy, key, roads are key. Internet infrastructure is key. Without proper internet, it's going to become very difficult. Nowadays, we have things like Starlink, right? You can get internet farther away. We have 5G from all the mobile providers. Depending on where you live, it might work or not work. We have fiber going to a lot of the major cities. So, one thing I've seen is it doesn't make sense just to get one internet infrastructure. You have to get two. One is the main and one is a backup. And as we use AI right now, a lot of the tools that we use at the websites are accessed through the internet, right? You want to go to a site without internet, that won't work. But as we're developing more and better tools within the country, you can connect them to like the Internet Exchange of Nigeria. So even if the submarine cables are cut, leaving Nigeria, all Nigerians will still be able to access those things. So it's a gradual process and it's progress that's being made.
All right. Now, do you think AI built outside Africa can truly solve local challenges in a country like Nigeria?
I would say yes, but that is kind of a very general question. It's like saying, can a foreign-made car solve the transportation issues in Nigeria? Does it make a difference if it was made in Nigeria or was it made abroad? Maybe the car in Nigeria has a better GPS navigation, better features, or slightly better localized features. But generally speaking, I think we need to start with using AI that is built outside of Nigeria, and then use that to now understand it more, so that we can build the ones that are specific to Nigeria. So I think let's not focus ourselves on is it outside or inside. Like, patriotism is good, but if it doesn't make economic sense to somebody, it won't work. So whoever's building the AI in Nigeria, they have to feel it. Is it cheaper? Is it faster? They have to feel it.
Let's look at the AI talent a bit now in Nigeria. What role should Nigerian universities?
Can you
Are
repeat
you
the
there,
question?
Ian?
Yeah, can you repeat the
Okay,
question?
now I said, what role should Nigerian universities and tech hubs play in developing AI talent?
Okay. Um, you know, my mother and father are both professors. I grew up in an academic
Okay,
family. My siblings,
okay.
they have PhDs. Um, I'm the only one in my family that doesn't have a PhD. Okay, and so my father calls me every day and says, "Yeah, and when are you getting your PhD? You're not contributing to society. Nobody will respect you unless you have a PhD." So they're very education centric. But my personal view
Mm,
is the education system today is broken,
mm,
not just in Nigeria, globally, right? To spend 4 years to learn so many different topics, and when you graduate, you can't even get a job. That's the problem. So, how do we solve this? Is that AI is relatively new. If a teacher is supposed to teach AI, when did they
mm,
learn it? And whatever you're going to learn is going to be what they've learned. It's old. So,
mm,
I don't think the Nigerian universities can teach anything other than how to learn, which is you have to learn on your own. You have to experiment. You have to try. You have to deep dive into it. You have to make mistakes. You have to fail and succeed and repeat. Watch YouTube videos. Find out what other people are teaching, the content that's very fresh. If you don't know how to do something and you don't know how to learn, ask AI. Say, I want to learn how to do social media marketing with AI. Make a
mm,
7-day program that I can spend 1 hour a day to learn this, and then give me a
mm,
quiz at the end to make sure I know everything. AI will guide you then. It's your private tutor.
mm,
So
mm.
my view is universities and tech hubs, other than creating a community of friends, of like-minded people, I don't think they have much to play in this.
Now, in terms of policy, do you think the government's policies in Nigeria are they keeping pace with AI innovation?
I don't think any government's policy anywhere in the world is keeping up with it. If you look at what AI, what the features and functionalities and what it could do in January,
Mm,
it's it's so different than what it can do today. Things are changing on a daily basis, right? I think where government comes in is like, how do we ensure that this tool is kept safe, keeping our citizens safe, that we're not making bad decisions. They say, you can use a calculator to do great things and start a business, but you could also use a calculator to calculate how to make an explosive. Okay. So the government can come in and say, if you're doing calculations to make an explosive, the calculator will say, no, I'm not doing the calculation. I think that's where governments can come in to safeguard the community, safeguard the citizens. But in terms of helping advancement, uh,
mm,
it's driven mainly by the technology.
mm. Interesting. Now, how can Nigerian startups leverage AI to solve real problems, maybe in sectors like agriculture, healthcare, and fintech?
Well, um, I think we have to start with how do we solve these problems from the beginning, right? So,
Mm,
how do we solve the problem of pests and diseases in crops, right? First, you have to know that a pest has happened. Then you need to find out what type of crop protection you need to get rid of those pests. And then you need to now check and see if it worked well. I mean, those are the basic steps of solving an agricultural problem like that. Now,
mm,
detecting the pests. Without AI, you have to go see the crops, look at them under a microscope, and then you have to now determine what type of pest it is to determine what type of protection you're going to do. With AI, maybe it can do it by imagery, right? So it's faster. You can do it better. Maybe you can do it through using imaging from
mm,
satellites to see what part of your farm has pests without having to go there. And if you know things like that, and that's where AI is the tool, it accelerates what you already know. It's not going to come up with a brand new solution as easily, but you have to know what you need to know. In healthcare,
mm,
diagnosing people. I'm sure we've all been to a doctor where the doctor, you said, I'm sick, I'm paining, my chest is paining me. And the doctor's like, oh, you have malaria, you have typhoid. You're like, but how did you know? You don't have to take a test yet. And you start doubting the doctor, right? And AI is now being used by doctors to help them diagnose better so that they can make sure that the knowledge of the global medical field is being reflected in their diagnosis. And who wants to go to a doctor that uses AI? I think most people will, because doctors in some areas may be good in some topics, doctors in another may be good elsewhere. But if you combine everyone together, which is like what AI does, you're going to get a better diagnosis. Healthcare is not uniform across the country. Doctors want to make money and also save lives, but they want to make money. They want to be in the big cities, right? If you tell a top doctor, go and live and treat people in the small village of a population of 50, they'll be very hesitant to go, and they can't make the income. So the healthcare there is not going to be as good as in Lagos. So AI can help those doctors. It can actually create maybe initial diagnosis remotely. You can have the doctor in Lagos that's helping somebody using AI in a remote area. And those solutions are being developed as we speak right now by many organizations.
Interesting. Now, do you think when it comes to do you think funding is let's say the biggest challenge for AI development in Nigeria, or is it something else entirely?
Do you mean funding or free money? Right? Because a lot of times people are looking for funding are saying, hey, I need you to invest, but without a plan to pay back. Okay.
Yeah, I get the point you're making.
Yes. So if it is funding, like really, you need money to start something, to then create a business that will now generate returns that you will now pay back your investors multiples, 10x, 100x, okay? Like real funding. I'm not talking about grants and stuff. I think it's necessary at a certain point, but before to start an app or a startup, you needed a big development team of 5-10 people, maybe even more. You needed a marketing team. You needed someone in your legal department. Just before you make a single kobo of revenue, you had at least a workforce of several dozen people. With AI today, as I said, it's a tool to accelerate. AI can do your marketing plan. AI can generate your code. The top companies in the world right now are no longer programming. They're using AI to update their software. The teams are shrinking, right? So do they need as funding? Actually, they need less money to run than they did before. And we're at an age now where we see companies that are one founder companies, so one person generating $1 billion company. That's 1.5 trillion naira company, one person, because what they've done is they've made all their employees and all their specialists AI. The only thing that they're paying for is the usage of the AI, which they could use it online or run it themselves locally. And even at my desk right now, I've got different LLMs running on various computers doing different tasks. It saved me so much time. So much, in fact, I don't want to deal with people anymore because I never forget. I get things right most of the time.
Interesting. Now, do you think, or should Nigeria focus on building its own AI models or adapting existing global technologies to local needs?
I would say start with adapting technology to meet local needs. Nigeria is one of the top countries on this African continent in many aspects, right? Strongest workforce, the greatest, fastest growing economy, most natural resources. Nigeria has everything, culture, right? We've got great culture. So a lot of African countries look up to Nigeria to see what is possible. So as Nigeria needs to be the role model to say, let's use the existing technologies to create and solve problems which are big, which can be applied across the continent. And that's where the start should be. As I said, using other systems, you can solve 90% of most problems. So let's do those big steps first.
Interesting. Yeah, and interesting. You're really making great points here. Now, how important is our cloud and edge computing in making AI accessible across Nigeria, including maybe rural areas?
So what is cloud? Cloud means it's a server that's somewhere where you don't know, that's connected to the internet. It could be a server in Abuja, it could be a server in London, it could be a server in Dubai. We don't know where it is. Like your iCloud, like your Gmail. Where is your Gmail stored physically? Nobody knows, right? It's called a cloud. So in order to use cloud, you need a connection coming to your device, and that is the internet, okay? And internet can be unreliable. It can cost a lot of money. And that's where edge comes in. Edge means closer to where your computer is. And edge could mean a computer in your office network. It's there. Can we run AI in your office network? Yes. Will you need internet to use it? No. So if you're talking about very remote communities without internet, all they need is a computer, and they have access. They can get almost the same responses that you would get using of ChatGPT. You can use that computer to start generating software for you to solve problems without even an internet connection. So edge computing is very key. We need to bring that AI closer to the people, but in an economical way. Not many people can afford the brand new server that costs millions of naira. So when you have that in a small community, they can share it. One of the things I wanted to say is, like, how do we have a Nigeria free AI LLM accessible to all Nigerians for free? And I did some calculations. It's going to cost the price of maybe 2 diplomatic missions to go visit another country, in the transport, hotels, and all that stuff, and it will be free for everybody. And how will that help?
That's everybody? Quite cheap.
It's very cheap. Yes.
Yes.
To start, it will grow, but to start, right? And so we will have our Nigeria GPT. And if you have any questions about agriculture, about medical, you can ask it, and you'll get the answer. It'll be free, right? And it doesn't cost much money to start. We can do it.
Interesting, yeah, interesting. My final question to you: in the next 5 or 10 years, what would success look like for Nigeria within Africa's AI ecosystem?
Well, 5 years is a long time. It's been growing so fast. Like, it's hard to predict what's happening next year. But I would say what success looks like is Nigeria is known for creating innovative solutions that work, that help people, that makes lives better, that makes people more financially buoyant. There's going to be so much abundance of finances, of income from organizations who leverage AI, that they can share it with everybody else. So can you imagine a few companies making so much money, they don't even know what to do with it? Now they're providing grants, giving funding to different states, helping children go to school, helping them with education, building new roads. Like, that will become the future of where we should be.
Choi, thank you for joining me on this segment of the show this week. I hope to have you sometime in the future to discuss more on AI and other areas in tech.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Paul. Take care.